ever given to someone, your attention, your best effort, time, and at the same time giving nothing or less of this to yourself, then this video is for you. Most people don't struggle with loving others. They struggle with loving themselves the same way. And in this video, I'm going to help you to fall in love with your life. Not just aesthetically or routine-wise, but for you. There's some interesting habits and mindset shifts, and one thing that changed the relationship with myself forever. Dating myself. Because the way you love yourself sets the base for everything else. So first, I really want to say that self-love is not about avoiding loneliness, which we're going to discuss it in much more detail a little bit later, but I had to mention it now. It's not a backup plan when you're lonely. It's not something that you do when you're angry or upset or sad. You know, when we just feel the need to close ourselves off, when we feel lonely and start to think that we actually don't need anyone. I'm only going to do solo dates from now on. And I get where it's coming from, but it's not the approach that we're going to discuss in this video. You know, I personally think that self-love is all about showing up for yourself in a way that you would for someone else. It's like saying, I don't want to be treated like this, so instead I like this more. And it's also about personal boundaries because it's the foundation in your self-love journey. You know, because when you consistently choose yourself and treat yourself well, you are teaching others how to love you too. And if a part of you is resisting this, thinking that this is going to make you look like a selfish person, then you're not alone. Most of us, we were being taught to put others first. Our family, our friends, but this is what I want to communicate in this video. Loving yourself doesn't mean that you're ignoring others, that you hate others, that you don't need anyone anymore, that you're becoming cold, that, you know, if you feel lonely, then you're trying to just detach from that feeling. So you would rather want to like ignore everyone and only focus on yourself. Well, loving yourself is not about ignoring everyone in your life. It means that you are no longer abandoning yourself. Because abandoning yourself because you are trying to please everyone and put other people first is something that happens extremely often. So that's why I'm saying to you, please don't abandon yourself. I know that life is busy and there are a lot of like unpredictable situations that you cannot control, but at the end of the day, you only have yourself. And that's why I really want y'all, besties, to take care of yourself. So something that is going to really help you to take care of yourself better is applying the 5 love languages to yourself when it comes to your self-love and going on dates with yourself. Because these 5 love languages are not just for relationships. They can be applied to yourself. They're a very powerful tool to connect with yourself, to getting closer to yourself. Because what I came to realize is that when you know exactly what you want, how do you want to be loved, understanding what I like, why I do certain things, basically becoming self-aware of myself, this improves everything in my life. My relationships, my work, my body, my soul, my mind. You know, so like really applying these 5 love languages to myself has been really helpful, not just on my friends, my family, but also to the relationship that I have with myself. So the first love language that we're going to talk about is words of affirmation. You know, it's all about like all these affirmations and words that make you feel seen, powerful, and loved. In the context of self-love, I really recommend you to do journaling. It doesn't need to be something tricky and complicated. You can just type prompt questions on Pinterest, Google, about questions to know yourself better, and you can answer even 1 question per day. This really helped me when it came to knowing myself better, knowing who I want to become when it comes to feeling more grateful. Because every single day there are unpredictable things that make us feel bad and sad and upset, but it doesn't mean that I should just go to bed with this feeling of stress carried with me. Like I can always find a tiny win or tiny good situation that happened in the day that I'm so grateful for. You know, like I can always find things like this. I feel like we as human beings tend to focus overly on the negative stuff. Like it's how our brain is wired. And then we go to bed thinking non-stop about all these negative things that happened, you know, and it just feels so good when you can just throw all these thoughts out of your brain by journaling and then like writing something that you are grateful for the day. Like I always list 3 things that I'm grateful for. I don't even write them, I just say them out loud. Next love language is quality time. I have to mention something very important. Time alone is not quality time necessarily. I think that there is this misunderstanding of thinking that you just sitting there by yourself watching YouTube, some movies, means that you're having quality time with yourself. But just because you're alone, it doesn't mean that you're spending quality time with yourself. And this can be applied with relationships too. Like it doesn't mean that when you are sitting with someone else, then you're automatically spending quality time with them. So now I'm about to mention some things that I consider quality time with myself, which is doing my 10k steps per day. And I really do enjoy it, especially when I put some music that I really like. It really makes me feel happiness. I'm taking care of myself, of my body by walking, or when I'm just listening to my own thoughts when I'm walking. It also means quality time to me. So a good question to ask yourself to find out what thing means quality time for you is what makes you lose track of time. You know, when you do it by yourself, like what makes you don't want to watch that damn phone anymore, that you don't even want to see what time is it, because time flies when you're doing it. What are the answers for this question? Comment down below. I'm reading all the comments. Next love language, acts of service. So those are the things that you do that are going to make the life of your future self easier. So for me, it's definitely when I plan on my to-do list what I need to do for the next week, or when I'm consistent with my goals and doing extra work. Or for example, you know, since I need to read 10 pages of a book every single day, sometimes I just read extra pages, so the next day I'm going to read less. Or when I clean my desk, so my future self is going to wake up with a clean desk, because actually I'm very lazy when it comes to cleaning my desk. I really hate cleaning, you know, and it feels amazing. I always thank my past self for doing that, for helping me to put this weight off my shoulders. Or the night before, preparing my clothes, so the next morning I don't have to search for them in my closet. I'm not going to waste so much time. Those little acts of services just remind me that I deserve to live a calm, easy life, that I can actually create this type of vibes and lifestyle for me. So the next love language is gifts. Okay, so gifts are definitely not random purchases, spending beyond your budget. Absolutely not. It's about intentional generosity with yourself. For example, last year for the new year, I bought myself a very expensive ring, and every once in a while I also buy some bubble teas, and because why not, like it feels good. And we all know this phrase, which is treat yourself, and it feels good. But sometimes we really misunderstand it. Treating yourself doesn't mean that you're buying stuff just to numb your feelings or to escape loneliness. It means honoring your values. It means spending and investing into things that genuinely are going to help your well-being. Not just, you know, right now you see something on social media, since you're feeling sad or lonely, then you are going to purchase it. Like, no. If you think deeper about it, there are a lot of negative emotions that you haven't processed yet, because when you get that thing that you have just purchased, you are no longer going to use it. You just bought it from impulse, from temporary feelings and emotions. For example, there's this trend on social media of these plush toys called La Boo Boo. I'm not saying that they're bad. Like, I know that there are people who genuinely love them. Just because it's trendy, it shouldn't mean that you should buy it. Like, some people just buy things from impulse because they desire it, because it's trendy and everyone is happy to buy it, but it doesn't mean that you should do. Like, you really like ask yourself before buying something, is this thing aligned with who I truly authentically am? Would I buy this if it wasn't trendy? If I didn't felt sad, lonely, or wanting to have a certain status? Truly ask yourself, if you couldn't post it on social media or show it to anyone else, would you still buy it? Most of the times, the answer is going to be no. Because we as humans sometimes tend to purchase things from impulse, thinking that we're going to need it, and that's why we buy it. Really ask yourself, am I a person who loves collecting plush toys? So if the answer is no, then don't buy it. And you need to kind of resist that feeling, that desire that you have. When you're just scrolling on social media and seeing all these people happy for buying that specific thing that is trendy at the moment, you need to kind of resist it because it's only temporary. And then, no much time later, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret spending money into something that is not aligned with you, that you're never going to buy if it wasn't trendy or something like that. If you were just feeling neutral. I know that I'm personally someone who doesn't love collecting plush toys. I really don't like the aesthetic of these toys, so even though they feel trendy and tempting to buy, I'm not going to buy them. And finally, last love language, which is physical touch. So when it comes to applying this, you can actually go to massage centers or just doing your skincare in a more gentle way instead of just rushing through processes and be a little bit aggressive with it and don't criticize your skin. And I know that it sounds easier than done. We all have insecurities within our bodies. It's also about moving your body, practicing yoga. And one question you should ask yourself to find out what type of physical touch in terms of love language do you want is, what brings you back to your body? The answer is going to be something very beneficial for your physical touch love language. And I think in general, I really absolutely need to mention this part, which is the fact that you don't do self-love. I know I have mentioned a lot of things that you can do to practice self-love, but it doesn't mean that you need to do them like a robot. That's why you don't do self-love. Instead, you become someone who loves themselves, and as a consequence, you act accordingly. And I think that this shift is very important because when you act from a place of self-love and kindness towards yourself, and then you think, oh, I very, very love myself, and how can I support this feeling? Because for me, truly walking out in the city center alone, it really, really brings so much gratitude and happiness for me. It's really something that I enjoy doing, and it really comes from a place of loving myself. And maybe for you it's going to be different, you don't have to copy me if it's something that you don't feel like you would enjoy doing. Maybe it's not going to work for you because you are just trying to do self-love instead of acting from a place of I love myself. I know that by doing this love language, by implementing these habits, I'm going to just show myself the love that I deserve. It's going to help me to love myself even more. Okay guys, so now I really want to talk about dating yourself versus escaping loneliness. This is exactly what I try to do so much, especially ever since I started to get into my self-development journey when I was 14 years old. And especially when I started to cut off some friends that were not aligned with me anymore because I started to raise my own standards because they were no longer aligned with me anymore. I started to just raise my standards and outgrow all these previous friendships that I had. I really confused at the beginning loneliness with self-efficiency. I just thought that I didn't need anyone, that I could do everything alone by myself. This was so great. Then I would realize that there was a part of me that was hurt because I was missing the component of social life. So I craved connection. So the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is because I'm trying to tell you guys that dating yourself can be an amazing tool, especially when you're going through certain stages of your life, when you are more alone. But it doesn't mean that it should be the only thing you need to be focusing on. Building relationships with others can help too. We absolutely absolutely need human connections as social species. So that's why it's great for you to find this balance between dating yourself and also making new connections with others. You're not failing at self-love if you crave connection, you know, like it's normal. And one thing that really helped me to make new connections is the room rule, okay? Because, you know, sometimes if we just go out in the city center to make friends, the chances of me meeting people who are not really aligned with me are going to be extremely high. And that's why the room rule comes in, which is choosing rooms where you are going to maximize the chances of you meeting aligned people. So for example, I'm doing content creation. It's my biggest passion. I love this. I've been doing this for years and I love expressing myself, being in front of the camera. So that's why I joined an acting class where they would also film some cinematic clips with cameras and all this stuff. And there I really got to meet people who were interested in my same thing. Visiting those places, those classes, and making friends with all these people really helped me when I felt a little bit lonely. You know, when I felt like I didn't need anyone. When I actually started working with my loneliness to help myself, but also practice self-love, giving myself more grace, putting myself in the right rooms meant I was maximizing my chances for meeting the right connections. And you know, when it comes to self-love and dating yourself, it's not just a temporary phase in your life. It's a lifelong journey. You're always going to discover new parts of yourself. You're always going to change and create new identities. It's a process of constantly showing up for yourself, being there, listening to yourself, to your needs. And it's a beautiful thing. Honestly, you don't have to wait. Like, guys, you need to go first. Like, you get to buy yourself the damn flowers. You get to take yourself to that restaurant or cinema that you've been waiting for, that you really love. You get to write love letters for yourself before anyone else does. And when you do that, you're teaching other people how to treat you and how to love you. You know, like you're leading by example. By showing up to yourself, you're showing people how you love yourself. What do you do for yourself? And this way, other people are going to learn how you love being loved. Since we are in the topic of dating ourselves, being with ourselves, if you really want to upgrade your life and achieve your dreams, then you need to go ghost. And watch this video if you want to go deeper into it. See you there, reminder!